Maybe.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
There you go. Thank you, Dan. Hello, everyone. This is Conversations with Sarah on April, what is it? The 2nd?
Second. Mm-hmm.
April 2nd. We have here Guru Dan and also my friend Alex. And she was just explaining to us how her life has been since the mandated stay at home order by our states. She's
Mm-hmm.
in California. I'm in Florida. Guru Dan's in California as well. Um, so do you want to go ahead, Alex, and just explain it and we can go through it?
Well, the first week, none of us took it seriously. I think a lot of us were very cynical, laughed it off, especially at work. My employer, or my direct manager, not my employer, but my direct manager, thought it was overly dramatic. And so he says, well, let's just play this out and let's stay home for a weekend. And he was so against it, almost tried to manipulate me to go to work, and making me feel guilty, like horrible guilty. And not mind you, I'm the type of person that absolutely loves work. So for me, it was like, yeah, I can just go to work, no matter what. But then I started to kind of hear the warnings and paid attention what was going on in Italy, and then talking to friends who have family in Italy. And then I started to think, well, this is actually serious. And it looks like we're going to be losing people in the masses. And so I put the brakes on right away, and I told my boss, I don't feel comfortable going in. And he was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, Miss Gun Ho, you should be like, be the first one in line, right? Because that's what he expected from me, and that's how I always presented myself. And he was a little upset at first, and it took a while to adjust for him because he's a workaholic. He's working 6 o'clock until like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. And so yeah, he thought I was second in line for him, right? So he's like, I depend on you. You're supposed to be right with me. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna show everybody that we're heroes. And then I was like, what if we become heroes for our own personal self and our own family, right? And he was against it, but I kind of stood my ground in this situation, and stayed home. And so I did not think I was gonna be this long. It's been 3-4 weeks now, because this happened, yeah, 3 weeks ago. So we're going in our third week, fourth week, and I am losing my mind. There's days where I just want to scream. There's days where I'm just like want to just throw the computer across the room, and I get this different type of emotions. Like, one minute I'm fine with it. I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful. We're here. We're healthy. Nothing's happening. And the next minute I'm frustrated. I'm mad. And then the more I hear from the news, and then I hear from my employer, and we go back and forth. So it's like an emotional roller coaster. And I think a lot of people are going through it because half of you have a routine. Like, I had a routine set: work, school, home, and now that's been taken away from me, and now I'm just home. And so there's a lot of thinking going on.
Yes.
How are you guys dealing with it?
Well, for me, I used to go outside all the time because I meditate outside. I go to the park, and I, you know, sometimes I have to work for 13 hours straight, and then come back home, and it's depending on the day and the schedule. And I'm used to having that back and forth, being able to, okay, some days I relax, some days I work. And then now it's like all the days it's time to relax and be in. And it's different because, you know, you like that juxtaposition of being outside, doing things with people, having that social communication with people, You know, that's part of who we are as human beings. We're social people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We like to be in each other's company. We like to give high fives. We like to hug each other.
The hugs at
It's
work, yeah.
a very different aspect when you're told to have space, 6 feet apart.
I like that part.
It's a little
Because I'm like, get out of my business. Like, I was like, some people get, especially strangers, they get way too close to me. So I was just like, I'm actually liking that part. But I do miss, like my friends at work. That was the first thing. I mean, at work, they're all engineers. And so I was the only one who actually brought everyone together.
Mhm.
Everybody was always very like in their cubicle and not talking. So when I show up, everybody comes out of their cubicle, everybody comes talk to me, everybody comes hug me. It's like I have a very different relationship with everybody there.
Well, you bring
And
that vibrant energy.
I
That's
guess, one of the managers called me Sunshine. They're like, oh, Sunshine's here. And they come out. They come out. They're a different personality comes out of them. So I missed that. I honestly miss that. And now we're doing it by meeting in the computer, kind of like we're doing it right now.
yeah.
And it's cold. Everybody's quiet again. Everybody's retrieved to being their own antisocial selves.
Hmm.
And so it's uncomfortable. It's just so weird. But I'm okay with strangers being away from me, though. I tell you this much. I went to the store. This lady was up me, and I was like, "Woman, just back the hell up!" The X over there, step over there. So, yeah, I mean, it's today. I'm actually gonna go out because I have an appointment with the doctor. But I don't know, man. This is gonna go for a long, long time. It seems like.
Yeah.
And I think for you, I would have thought you had a better hand on it, because I know there's times where you just zone out and you go sleep and you go to your meditative state. But for us who don't do that,
Yeah.
it's just hitting us hard.
Well, this is giving you time to focus on yourself, truly,
Mm.
because there's nothing else to focus upon, right? Either you watch the news and become depressed, or you can look at yourself and say, what's going on inside of me?
Well, you see, the thing is, and Dan can attest to this. I had recently had surgery, and so I was home for 2 months, and that's all I did was heal. Like just watch, we binge watched Netflix. We did eating, a lot of eating, and I just healed. So I was done with that part of my life. I thought it
That
was
was
done and over with.
physical healing. That
Right.
was
It was
physical,
physical.
not emotional, not spiritual. That was physical. There's
True.
three parts to this, okay? And if you're not dealing with your emotional and your spiritual aspects as well, you're not really dealing with yourself as an entire human being, as a whole human being. Yes, your body needed to heal physically, and you
Hmm.
took that time, and I am so happy you took that time to heal your body because it
Yeah.
was necessary.
I
Uh,
kind of regret it now because I took 2 long months.
it was still very
Yeah,
necessary.
I should have just taken 1 month.
Yeah,
Now I'm really stuck in here.
sure.
So, but now I'm gonna be packing a lot of stuff away. I want to put stuff in storage. I'm gonna paint more. I'm gonna paint the living room. So like
Oh,
I'm starting to focus on the house and reorganizing and kind of clearing decluttering, and maybe that will address my own personal in, because I think it's a reflection of my interior, where I just to kind of just, I don't know, I want to replace things with material things instead of with stuff that I guess I wasn't dealing with, and again, because I was so busy, I wasn't really aware of it. And now
yeah.
that I'm not, I'm starting to think, fuck, what a mess.
That's all right. Because when you begin to declutter the house, and I'm noticing a lot of people are doing that because they're used to being like movement. They're used to
Right.
moving around. And so it's like the perfect time is spring. perfect time to clean up.
Right.
And as you begin to declutter your space and your environment, you begin to have energy of new thoughts and feelings come in. The ones that you have put away, those begin to show up to you as well, to be decluttered as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where while you're cleaning your house, you can get a 2-for-1 situation. So now you're able to feel a little bit more of what's happening inside of you in the process. And
Yeah, I think so. I think it's forcing all of us. I think we all co-created this for a reason, and a lot of it is because most of us refuse to deal with those things. And I
yes,
think now we all pretty much put ourselves in that situation where it's like, okay, it's time for you to address it. So it would take something really drastic for you. And it seems like that's how humanity seems to want to deal with things. We have to be extreme.
right.
And I remember telling myself, well, shit, I'm done with this extreme shit because I already went through so much stuff in my life. But now it's more like I jumped in that wagon because it's now everybody's doing it because it's a pandemic, right?
Yes, it
Now we
is.
have no choice but to deal with it. And I think it'll work out at the end. We'll come out better off.
We
But
really
with
will.
the painful transition, I think this is what we're dealing with.
Yes. Beautiful.
And then Joseph is having a hard time. He's been having a hard time since that retrograde. His bike works one day, then it doesn't work the next day. Like yesterday, he went driving because he's practicing driving his motorcycle, and then it just stopped. So poor kid had to push the motorcycle back over here. And he's like, "Are we still in retrograde?" I was like, "No, no, it's just you."
With all of your
So
energy, now you get to
it's
focus.
just the energy. It's been difficult for him too. Dealing with people at work. It's been a very difficult beginning of the year.
Yes, it has for many of us. For many of us. And it's just allowing us to say, hey, who am I without all of these things? Do you know
Yeah,
who you are without all of those things and being busy and not really focusing? Who am I at this moment?
that's a good point. That's a very good point. Because usually we have our careers and our jobs and our things define us, but who we are as individual, that's what we're at right now.
Yes.
Very, very true. You nailed it.
Yeah. So, what are some of the thoughts that have been coming along with that question?
I think a lot of it, I wasn't really thinking about it because I was so focused on my career, and I'm still am. But I noticed, like, this is my last year in school, which now it's gonna be another year because of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kept thinking, well, even if I were to be done with school, it still doesn't define who I am, you
Exactly.
know. And so it's been difficult because it's like now I have to find ways to describe me without using work anymore. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like I have to just, when I start thinking, I was like, even yesterday, I was like, okay, if I had to describe myself, what would it be? And it's like, well, I'm determined, I'm persistent, I'm ambitious. I was using all these words, like, I'm funny, because I crack myself up all the time. I don't know if I crack anybody else up, but I crack myself up all the time, and it's like, I'm a smart ass. I was like, and I actually like being a smart ass because like that means you're quick and you're witty and you respond quickly. Your mind is thinking, and that's pretty much how I am. So there's all these different things that I'm trying to. How would I describe myself to a blind person? And that was one thing that came up this morning. If I had to describe to myself to a blind person, how would I do it? How would I describe myself, you know, from who I am to then go into the physical aspect of it? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, yeah, so those things are just popping in my head, and then I haven't really done a lot of spiritual stuff. Um, it's been kind of like I think right now I get from spirit that they're so busy. You know what I mean? They're so busy juggling so many requests and so many prayers and so many um I guess just people dying. You know what I mean? Just people dying in that transition itself. And so when I talk or connect to spirit, they all kind of tell me, we're busy. We're really, really busy right now. So I don't really bother them much other than just kind of like give them that space. You know, like if I had issues, I would want people to give me space. So that's what I've been kind of doing with spirit, giving them that space to maybe help those people that they need it the most at the moment.
Have you felt that you are somehow participating in that help um, that they're giving to those who are dying? Have you felt that you are participating in some sort of angelic aspect?
I haven't felt that yet. I think I feel there's days where I feel a lot more sorrow than I normally do. I mean, I've had my episodes where I just sit there and sob and cry and I feel the pain for others, you know, like I feel like the loss of people who were so young and they weren't the family wasn't prepared and those people who died but they died alone, right? Because once they are going in the hospital, the last person they see is the nurse or the doctor. So they never got to hear from the relatives telling them, you know, I love you before they die because they had to die alone because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So when I try to connect to that energy, it's a bit overwhelming for me. And so I just kind of let, you know, Cecile and them handle it. I think I'm just too weak emotionally
Right.
to participate in that. All I can do is just let them borrow my people. That's what I see it. Just let them handle it. They're a lot more stronger than I am, and I think it's because we're in human bodies, you know.
Right. And we're actually helping to ground that energy. That's why you're feeling very overwhelmed with it every time you feel into it. You're
Yeah.
actually helping to ground in that energy for the planet and for the human collective. A lot of us can become overwhelmed because of that. Like I know a lot of the time I have to literally sit and lay down and ground that energy in meditation
Hmm.
because a lot of people are feeling a lot of emotional pain and stress and anxiety at the moment. Um, it's sometimes it knocks me off my feet. Literally, it knocks me off. But then I have to kind of switch focus when that occurs. So basically, I'll get overwhelmed and the energy will hit. And then I think to myself, okay, lie down. We're going to ground. And so in my head, I just say ground. And I think of inner earth at that moment. And I find my energy automatically, because I've been training my energy to ground. When I say ground, it automatically begins to go into the earth. And that way that energy gets lessened.
Right.
Okay. And so I can think I want, well, I have a happiness meditation. So I begin to put happy faces on different parts of my body. And then it literally begins to change the frequency of the overwhelmment into positivity, into happiness.
That's
So
great.
it's a practice, and anyone can practice
Hmm.
this. So like the other day I was putting like the word love on the different parts of my body from my head, like from my mind's eye. I put love there. And then once I can reach the frequency of happiness and love, I begin to share it to the neighborhood, to my surroundings, and then to the planet. So that's one way you can begin to refocus that energy as it
Hmm.
comes.
Okay, I'll definitely try that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we literally are grounding a lot of that human collective emotional energy in us,
Hmm.
light workers as we are. We are very sensitive to all of that energetic emotion. And so if we're feeling overwhelmed, the best thing to do is begin to acknowledge the planet that it can transmute that energy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can just imagine. I've been staying away from the groups, the light worker groups,
Yeah.
because they've been tripping lately. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
are flipping out, and I just don't want to be like in that mindset where either one, I can get frustrated and angry real quick, or you know what I mean, or just kind of like jump in the wagon and yes, I'm feeling this way. You know what I mean? Like I don't like that. Like
Well,
I
that's
don't
why
want everybody just like, for instance, one lady was like, are you guys feeling bloated all of a sudden? It's like, really? Like, what do you mean bloated? Like that must, what? You know, that's not a collective thing. Like that was probably you ate something, you know, shit, woman. You know, so you know,
like
just stupid shit like that, that it's like, oh my God. So I'm trying to really stay away from the light workers who are just tripping in stupidity.
yeah.
I just want common sense, you know. I mean, if we were to do like a group healing session where we all collectively, it would be nice that we would have 5 or 6 people in this room right now, you know what I mean? And then we all focus on sending love and positivity to universe. It would be great if we can find that group of people. But we are, the groups that I've seen, we got one guy yesterday, you know, I work in San Pedro, right? So this guy, he he was driving a train, and he thought, because he fed into that conspiracy theory on Facebook that is on YouTube, saying that the ship that was sent out here to be the hospital. So we brought a ship to be parked in San Pedro and say all the people who don't have coronavirus, we're going to put them in that hospital, right? Because we still have children with cancer. We still have children with lupus. We have children with sickle cell. We have all these people with illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want them in the hospitals, right? Because all this coronavirus people are going to the hospital. So we need these other people who are ill a place to go. So the military came and brought a ship. It's called Mercy, and it's docked right as you get off the freeway where I get off to go to work. And it's right there. You can see it. And this bozo decided he watched way too many movies. He drove the train off the rail to go towards the ship. Now, you know, a train cannot drive like a car, but he went and created such a mess. And he drove and tried to hit, I mean, he can't even get near the ship because it's so far in, right? But in his mind, he thought he could, because he thought that the ship wasn't there for being a hospital, but he thought that it was some type of conspiracy theory about human trafficking, and the government was into this whole scenario. And those are these people who aren't in these light worker groups. And this is how I know, because I was in one of those groups, and then they brought this video. It's all conspiracy theory. That ship is the, you know, this and this and that. I'm thinking, are you guys for real? But it got in, that bogus, crazy idea got into this man's head, and he drove the train out of where he was going and tried to go for the ship. So right now they're spending all kinds of money to go fix the mess he made. And he's facing 20 years in jail. A light worker.
Oh my gosh.
Like, how stupid can you be? So, I just don't get it at times. Honestly, I don't get it. And
it's very necessary, because it's so easy for the brain to go into circles of fear, you know, in light of all that's been occurring. It is necessary to ground. It is necessary to meditate. Very necessary to begin looking within instead of looking outside of you the entire time.
yeah.
Why it's necessary.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad that a light worker and, you know, people like this are flipping out. You know, it's just scary. You know, because he could have hurt somebody. He definitely hurt himself. I mean, 20 years in jail because it's a federal offense.
Mm-hmm.
Something so stupid, just something so stupid. And he said he did it on purpose. He agreed it was on purpose. He said he did not trust the ship. And I'm just like, wow, we've been watching way too many movies. And a train can't do that. The train can't just get off the rail and drive and fly to a ship. It just doesn't happen. Only in movies or in video games. But it is what it is. And I think that's what scares me the most, is that we're going to see a lot of people tripping like that, doing crazy, crazy things.
Well, when they come into contact with you, if you're able to speak to them, is, you know, the ones who are grounded, the ones who feel grounded, it is up to us to say, hey, that's not necessary. That may not be real, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
them with love and compassion, and help them through their mental process, because a lot of times when we are emotionally affected, it's very easy to get into a spin and a whirlwind in the mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
And
all in the mind, really. Because there's
it,
really nothing going outside of them but what's internal, what's in here.
feeling
And
their
then they
heart.
get these scenarios and it's all there. Or their fears, it's all there. That nothing's going on in their surrounding. This is why grounding is so important. And I
Mhm.
remember I used to teach my son that when he used to have anxiety. And I was like, there's nothing outside of you. It's
Yeah,
just you and me. That's it. So get
yeah,
out of your head and let's pay attention to what do we have around us. And then we have a rock, we have dirt, we have a tree. Then I would get him out of that anxiety, because
yeah,
in his mind something was going to happen to me, and that was his fear as a little kid. Growing up, he thought I was going to die or something was going to happen to me and he will never see me again, and so he had horrible anxiety. And
mhm,
then, you know but that's what anxiety is. You're in your head. You know what I
yes,
mean? So get out of your head, because there's nothing going on around you. And in
exactly.
our case, there is a lot of death and sickness going on, but you have to be aware that it's not around you, right? Like, your family is okay, your
Yeah.
kid is okay, you are okay. So to focus on that, I think that will help people kind of relax a little bit more. I hope, anyways. It does me.
Hmm. Like, think you have food in your house, you have a roof over your head, you have your
Mm,
health, you
right.
are really okay.
Mm-hmm. Focus on that. Yeah.
Focus on you at this time. Is very necessary and prudent at this moment that we focus.
You just lost audio there, Sarah.
Yep. I think somebody's trying to connect, right? Maybe that's why.
Yeah. Yes. Galaxy person came in and now the audio's gone out on Sarah. I don't know why.
Well, that person had a lot of strength, a lot of
Okay.
energy.
There. Now her audio's back.
I've been watching Gerald Rogers in the mornings. He does free Zoom meetings. He has like a group of people, and we're talking a lot. He's got like a group of 50 people, and he does the Zoom meetings, and I watch it in the morning. He's very inspiring. He's very motivational. He talks about exercising and keeping your mind healthy and positive, and so I've been keeping sort of taps with him. um and they do, like, they say, to say mantras, walk around and do mantras, and kind of like, how do you want to feel, how do you want your life to be. So he has really cool exercises. Maybe you guys can take a look at it once in a while, but I've been doing those, and keeping busy.
Lovely. Yes, and people have to understand they can still go outside. You know, the some of the mandates are saying once a day, take a walk. You can still go outside and connect to nature and be able to ground in that fashion. Hello, Galaxy. And readjust and ground ourselves and get back into our hearts instead of our minds. We need to find the balance between the two. And so,
they
yes.
closed they closed our beaches here, I mean, I was telling Joseph, I said, we're gonna go walk every morning and just go walk. Unfortunately, Long Beach has taken a very strict um stance in social gatherings, and
Mhm.
they closed everything.
Yeah, they closed our
Beaches,
park.
parks. I mean, we can't walk anywhere but our neighborhood, and I don't live in the best of neighborhoods. So so it's been kind of like tricky. And then when Joseph goes out, the cops stop him. He has to show a letter that he's working for a grocery store. That also kind of, he almost lost his job this week because of some angry little person. And so, it's been kind of like, where can we go? Like physically, they're not really allowing us to go anywhere. So even walking has become difficult. And I think that's going to cause eventually a problem because I understand the fact that they want you to be inside your house, which is fine. But when you lock somebody up, just kind of like in jail, you know what
Yes,
I mean, to the point where you can't even walk outside your house, that's going to cause violence, and people are
yes.
going to go against authority.
And
And that's what's going to happen, because now if we can't even walk in our neighborhoods or at the beach, for God's
exactly.
sakes, man, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, it hurt me when they closed the parks. And I understand the beaches because we have a large beach community here in Miami.
Yeah,
I
we
understand
saw that
that,
on the news.
but to close the parks for me was really harsh because I used to go to the park. Our park doesn't receive a lot of people. It's a big park and people can keep their distance very easily. People don't really congregate, they kind of keep to themselves at the park. And so it hurts the neighborhood, I think, when they can't just sit down in a park in a restful place, especially if they live in a city with a lot
Hmm.
of concrete and buildings everywhere. Um, you just have to
Yeah.
find a way. You have to find a way. If it's, I found a tree and I touched it,
Hmm.
or hugged it, or sat down and meditated with that tree. If you only have that one tree,
Hmm.
let that be your focus for a good 15 minutes or more, however you wish. But we have to find some way that we can ground. Personally, I know I can ground wherever I am. So I can be in bed and be grounding because I have practiced that motion.
Right. Yeah. We're used to that. We just grab a rock and, we're
I can
good.
grab a rock and be okay. I can
Hmm.
grab a
But
root.
some people can't. Some people need to be in nature. And so I think that, yeah, closing up the parks was not a great idea.
Not a
It's
great
just
idea.
not.
I think we should probably do some sort of petition to get the parks reopened again because
They even closed the Grand Canyon. They closed all trails. They closed
wow,
everything nature related. I'm thinking, man, that was just not a good idea. But
not a good idea.
eventually they're going to have to do something because people are going to get restless,
Yes,
you know? They can only do and be at home so much. And then after that, then what is there to do but just cause problems and rebel, right?
yeah,
And so that's what you don't want. You don't want society to rebel to that point.
yes. So we
So,
really do need the parks open. Maybe we should do some sort of petition to like, I mean, you get so many signatures and they look
yeah,
at that because that means the people are speaking that we need to have nature areas because I live in a city. I can walk in my neighborhood, but my neighborhood, like, in the city, you have buildings, lots and lots of buildings. And you can't really just sit on the sidewalk and be like, I mean, you can sit on the sidewalk,
but it's
but
concrete.
it's
It's
concrete.
concrete.
We need grass, we need trees, we need water, that helps to truly ground someone into that energetic flow of freedom within themselves. It helps to balance their emotional, spiritual, and physical aspects. So it's very, very, very necessary that they have those parks because the parks have all of those combined, usually. So We
I
need to.
don't know. I don't know how things got this bad, but you know what? I think a lot of people were too ungrateful. You know what I mean? So it would take something this drastic to realize how lucky we were,
Yeah,
how much freedom we had, and how much for granted we took nature.
exactly.
It seems
Now
like it's just everything's been flipped on us and say, well, you know how you didn't appreciate going outside? Do you remember how you really didn't like going to the beach? Well, guess what? You don't have the beach anymore.
nowhere to go. We
Yeah, and that's how I felt. I was just like, shit. I mean, I've lived here 7 years and I probably went to the beach twice. Yeah, it's just I was just too involved in my career and my life, and so I was like, man, I took so much for granted. I didn't appreciate anything. So yeah, it's you're facing. I mean, I think the universe is giving us a good lesson.
but it's a lesson that we can go through and flow through better with our parks open. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
very
that was a I don't know what I think because well, I know yesterday was it yesterday they're showing on the news people who they went to golfing. And so what happens is there's not many people around. So the media is flying around looking to shit, to just to kind of put in the TV. And they saw that these guys were playing, and within less than 30 minutes, they shut down the place because it was like all over the news. The phone ringed off the hook. Why are you letting these people play golf? I mean, they were not next to each other. It's golf. They shut it down immediately. Then there was people playing at the park. They were playing soccer. The cops went on the field, parked his car there, didn't let anybody play. They all had to go home. So
what are we gonna
even
do?
people that want to go out in nature, they're not allowing it. They're adamant they don't want people out at all. And so I don't think that's a good way to approach the situation.
It really isn't,
No.
because now people don't have an outlet to
Right?
relax themselves and their minds and their spirits. They don't have an outlet to release all of that anxiety and fear. And that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, all we can do is just pray that this is not going to last longer than it should.
I'm calling out to everyone who hears this from this video to please speak to your representatives and say, we need our parks open. It's very necessary. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. We're having a conversation about the possibility of getting the parks to be reopened so that people will be able to have some place to walk and relax. We're gonna do the petition because it is very necessary right now that people are able to emotionally balance themselves in their communities. So
That's a
yes.
nice tree you have back there. Look at him. He's out in nature.
He's
Yeah,
already there.
I'm sitting under a tree.
That's perfect. That's exactly what we need.
Oh yeah, exactly. This is a place where I normally come, to work. I was actually doing some programming work.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is like my working place.
That's nice. That's exactly. I think we would have a smile on our face too. If we had that. I'm inside all day, every day for the past 3 weeks. So
Wow.
I'm starting to get real restless at this point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
I I
Yeah.
need that tree. Let me borrow that tree.
Yeah, a tree can be very useful.
Yes, because a lot of people in the cities don't have trees.
Oh
So
yeah.
we need some sort of nature around us and be able to walk in nature.
Yeah, I have all these trees and you know a lot of birds singing.
Hmm. And it's
Just
spring.
yeah, it's the best place actually to work.
Yes, it is.
Mm.
It is. So definitely the trees are necessary. Nature is necessary at this time.
That's right. That's right.
Hmm. So yes. Galaxy, do you want to introduce yourself? Oh, hello there. I see that you turned your mute button off, but we can't
No,
hear
they
you.
didn't. I did it for them just to
Oh,
see
you
if they
did?
have audio. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they know how the room works or not. They might not have allowed their microphone to turn on their phone.
Okay.
They might only be listening. So I guess I'll.
Dan, what do you think about all of this?
What do I think about all of it?
Well,
You guys
the
been talking
topic.
for an hour. You want me to
The
comment on
topic.
all of it?
The
Pick and
topic.
choose, Dan. You gotta talk.
Oh, goodness. Several things. Several things. I agree that the idea of outside, they need to lighten up on. Just because you're outside doesn't mean you're in contact with anything.
Exactly.
It's like when I go out on my bike, I'm not going out like I should. I should be going out every day or every other day. And I'm not, because people are just so paranoid. I don't want to get run over by some paranoid person who thinks, oh, he's outside, he shouldn't be there, he's touching stuff. No, I'm touching my stuff. Leave me alone on my bike. I'm on the sidewalk, I'm on the street, I'm not like in a store touching anything. If I'm just outside by myself, you know in solitary, in a solitary state, see, they're not recognizing that just because the virus isn't outside. It's a contact virus. It's done by contact. And if I'm not in contact with anything but my stuff, then leave me alone. And that's my point on that. So, but it's getting harder and harder to go outside because the paranoid people are just freaking out everywhere. And now they're trying to make it a crime to even step outside your door. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we've been through this in history, and that never goes very well. So they should be warned. That's not going to go well. The other stuff, as far as being inside, I know that when they retired me, I had to go through that. I had to go through that where I go, well, you know what? My energies were used to doing something I preferred. I preferred to go to work. I was a workaholic. I did all this stuff. And then when I couldn't go anymore, they said, look, you can't go anymore. You're retired. You don't work here anymore. Stay home. And the conundrum was that I preferred my energies to be doing something. I enjoyed what I was doing. And then I couldn't find anything that I could enjoy doing again. And that's where that energy, has a problem, because we have these preferences. We prefer our energy to be doing a certain thing. And then when our energy can't do that thing, we go a bit bonkers, go a bit stir crazy. So you get
Mm-hmm.
people, climbing up trees, you get people climbing the walls, you get people doing things they ought not be doing, and you get people becoming irritated because they don't know how to manage their energies. They just don't. They're not accustomed to it. They're not used to it. They're not used to just being them. So when Alex was talking about how would she describe herself, saying, oh, basically you're just a being that exists, and I'm a being and I exist over here and I do this stuff and I do what my energy prefers, and I like that. And I like being me, and I just like that. And it's so simple. Then, so, oh, well, you're also a being that exists and you're doing your things and you're doing your preferences and you like that and it's all right. But what happens in this case is people, they're existing, but their preferences are all off and they're not liking themselves and they don't know what the heck to do with themselves or anything else, and they're becoming irritated and they're lost. And it is really a good time to recommit back to their spiritual practice, whatever that is. If they need to bow on a rug 20 times a day, great. You need to hug a tree to make you feel better, great. You need to pray, you need to do 1,000 mantras a day, whatever, great. But the commitment back to self again, I think we all agree is important, because if you can't manage your energies, then your energies are managing you. And then what the hell are you doing? What's that going on? What's that mess happening? Right? Because if it's
Mhm.
operating you, then what are you really in charge of? If you're not in charge of your own life. So there's lots going on here. And then we have the closed-inness and the parks being closed because they don't want people to congregate. And I saw one report where there was a skate park, a skateboard skate park, and they filled it with dirt to stop the kids from congregating because the kids were congregating at the park. But they're so afraid of contact. But I don't think they're going to open the parks right now. And by the time we finally did get a thing signed, I'm afraid that the thing will be over and then the parks will be open anyway. So maybe if we can just find a way to manage our energies better. Not saying that a thing, what did you say to do? To sign a petition.
Petition.
It's not that that's not a bad idea. I just don't know if it'll happen in time to become implemented.
Well, here's the thing. When people aren't able to even leave their homes, their bodies become a bit, because it's unused, you can begin to lose your natural flow of energy.
Yeah, you get the muscle atrophy and all that stuff, and you get
Exactly.
bloated. They get bloated.
They get bloated.
They get bloated.
And if you're in a neighborhood, like Alex says, where it's not the best neighborhood, it
Not
may
the
be
best neighborhood, even though she is close to the beach. Yeah, but then you can't go to the beach. Now what? Now you're stuck on the sidewalk. And you know what's wrong with the sidewalk? Is that's where everybody else is stuck walking. And now you're congregating anyway. So that failed. So now what? Well, I'm glad not too many people are driving, so you can just walk down the middle of the street, I guess.
driving.
So now it's a social distance parade. So there's a social distance parade at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Whatever time you want to do your social distance parade, you just do it. And maybe that's the solution,
I
right?
think there's no trust.
No, the paranoia is stronger than the trust in their fellow man. Yeah.
There's no trust in that at the moment. That means they don't have trust in the human capacity to think and be
then,
on at the moment.
Yeah, and then I wanted to address the train guy. The train guy, yeah, these people are getting all whacked out in their heads. They are.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing. That's a weird aspect about spiritual awakening, because when people begin to awaken, they awaken out of their life and they awaken into more awareness. And then the first thing they awaken into is like all this conspiracy stuff. And they go, oh, what about this conspiracy and that conspiracy? And I wrestled with it too. I had to grapple with that thing too. And it's when I got to the end of it, it was all the conspiracies are real. And all the conspiracies are real for who they're real for. And all I need to do is decide if that conspiracy is real for me or not. And then I'll do that and go, well, even if it is real for me or not, do I really care? Is it really that big of a deal? You know, oh, there's a black helicopter. There's this going on, or there's that going on, and all the stuff that's going on. Is any of that for me? And most of it isn't. Most of it isn't. When I look around and go, oh, no, I need to worry about it just like everybody else is. Do I have everything I need? Am I comfortable? Are my energies, mostly within their preference? Am I okay? Am I only bloated half today instead of yesterday? And am I mostly comfortable? Yeah. Am I mostly fine? Yeah.
I told somebody yesterday about that conspiracy thing. I said, well, even if it was true, okay, let's pretend for a second it's true. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Absolutely nothing. You can complain and bitch and moan and say, yes, it's true, but are you stopping it? No. Can you stop it? No. You know what I mean? And do you have validation? Do you have receipts? Do you have something concrete to say, look, this is what I have, this is how I prove it, and this is how I'm going to stop it? No. So to me, it's just wasted energy. And so if something productive cannot come out of something, then don't waste your energy into it. Don't spend your time in it. Don't even contemplate it, and don't join the bandwagon because you're not making a difference that way.
So
And that's how I deal with it.
what I'm kind of hearing in that is the same thing again. A lot of it is energy management. Then how do you begin to manage energies that you can't do anything about? And on my YouTube channel, where I have all the Wellness Wednesdays, where I was doing events a couple years ago, and one of them was Wellness Wednesday, and I recorded them all and I put them all on my YouTube. And it's a meditation where we go through and we heal the whole world and everything in it. And what that meditation is meant to do is give people a way to take action on unactionable energies. So when you have a problem, like Alex just said, that you can't do anything about, it's not actionable, then what action can you take? Well, if you can energetically clear that within you, if you can find a way to address that energy within you, then it neutralizes itself and then it doesn't bother you anymore. So here again, everything to me, and I know people say, oh, Dan, you're just some weird guy. I say, this is a real deal. Energy management is important. How you take action on your unactionable stuff is important. How you handle it is important, because to not handle it is bonkers.
Self-destruction.
It will kill you to hold on and harbor all of that stuff for too long. So we see an awful lot of really nice people having really, really bad problems. And you think, wow, these people are so nice. What's the matter with them? And what's the matter with them is they're secretly harboring energies they've never taken any action on. They believe that the world is out to get them, or they've not found a release for it. They've never found a way to really take action on it and manage it. And it eats them up inside until they die. And man, what a stupid way to die.
That's like creates illnesses. It creates mental illness. It creates a lot of
negative
imbalances.
vibration. Negative vibrational things are what is the problem. And if you can give people a way to take action on their inactionable energies, then you have performed a great service. And that's why I leave those videos on my YouTube, and I leave them up. Anybody can go get them and do them. And they can start taking action on their inactionable stuff. I think it's really, really important, even more probably now, to do that, that people have this time now to go within and to start sorting out some of these real issues. And then as far as the other stuff goes, and the only thing I can see that is somewhat good and weird at the same time is at the end of all this, I see a crap ton of people going into homesteading. I think everybody's going to get back to work, and then they're going to start getting out of the cities and say, you know what, I really can't do this job online, and I'm going to go move out into the country. I'm just going to get away from all you people. And I think a lot of people are going to start going into homesteading, and they're going to start raising their own food and stuff, and they're going to start doing other stuff. And I think creativity is going to re-enter kind of into the society a little bit, because this is going to teach a lot of people what they no longer prefer and what they do, and they're going to start making decisions towards that.
Yeah, and it's going to be a good thing, to be honest. I think
it will be a good thing, because I mean, yeah, there's all this stuff that they were complaining about, and then all this stuff that now we really do have an issue. Now we really should do something about this.
There's going to be a lot of rediscovery and a lot of new changes and a lot of thinking of, do I really am I in the right job? Is this really what made me happy to begin with? And maybe I should be doing something else. Or some people who decided, well, I wanted to, like they took that time to really understand what made them happy. So there's going to be a lot of shifting, a lot of changes. It's going to be good,
even where they're
actually.
living, people are going to re-examine, do I really want to live where I live? Do I really want to pay this much to live here? Do I really want to do this? Wouldn't I really be rather off with my family somewhere? Wouldn't I rather be here? Wouldn't I rather be there? Would I, if I didn't do this, if I could do anything, what would I do? So it's all of that stuff, So to get
Yeah,
wrapped
I
up
mean,
in
I knew there was going to be change on 2020. There's a lot of changes, and I thought, well, this is going to be my year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, me
That's
too.
what I thought. It's like, oh shit, this is going to be everybody's year. It
I
seems
think,
like,
all right, I'm going to commit to 100 miles a week. I'm going to do 100 miles a week. And you know what I'm doing? 10 miles a week. And I'm thinking, my God, this ain't working out. But at least I'm getting 10 miles a week.
And now I think it's everybody's year. Even though it seems it's a difficult year, I think this is actually, I mean, it's like almost, and I always say, can we do a reset button and just start this year over again? But
Yeah, let's reboot 2020 because it's got a
this just
virus in it.
seems
Yeah.
like it is rebooting almost. Even though like I say it in a funny way, I thought I was thinking about it, I'm thinking actually it seems like we are rebooting. Like
It is of
resetting
sorts.
everything that we knew
It is of
that wasn't
sorts.
working, and it's like we're having a glitch system on there, but we're clearing it out.
Well, it's like some people don't know that I survived the 2011 tornado in Joplin, Missouri. And after that tornado that ate the whole town, I mean, that tornado came in and just ate everything. And if it wasn't heavy or round, it vanished. And it was crazy. But we all came together. And after that, everybody, man, when somebody asked, hey, man, how are you? They cared. They wanted to hear the answer, and they wanted to do all that stuff. And so people ask me, well, how are you doing? And I said, well, really, this is, because I've been through a natural disaster before. I said, well, actually, this is kind of nice because we still have electricity, we still have gas, we still have water, and the internet's still working. And now they're actually doubling it up, and they're actually doing pretty well, and the internet's working well. So to be in a disaster with like services, this is like, man, this is like glamping, right? We got everything. We got running water, we got electricity, we got Wi-Fi. It's not like after the tornado, we didn't have a home. We didn't have anything. And that night after the tornado, it took us 7 hours to travel across town to get to Rob's son's house that wasn't completely destroyed. And we camped out there for 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
With no services until FEMA came in and said, all right, we can help you now. So, oh my God, it's forever. It took 2 weeks to get the temporary cell towers going. It was crazy.
Think that we have it good, but the people who don't have it good is the people in the hospitals. The nurses, the doctors, all those people are in battle. And
they are.
That's because I have friends who are in the ER and they tell me these horrible, horrible stories. And I think that those are the people who are the heroes right now. And they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's almost impossible for them to see it.
And there's only so far you can see. But I do believe that at the end of this, that there is going to be a shift in that idea as well, where our medical is going to be bolstered and everything else is going to be bolstered. And this is painfully showing how short-sighted that has been compared to other places. But we really need to start putting our money where our mouth is instead of some of this other stuff. Not that the other stuff isn't important. Not that the other stuff isn't entertaining, not that the other stuff doesn't serve. It does serve, but maybe we should be putting a little bit more back.
Yeah, I think that the health industry has been abandoned for so long.
Much.
And now people are starting to realize how important it was, and the monies and the fund and all these millions of dollars that people put into art and photography and just shit that honestly it's not necessary. I mean, it's not, you don't need to put $3 million into a museum when you can actually put it in a hospital, expand the hospital, put the technology in the machines and like my friend, she said, they have tents outside where they're putting the people because the hospital's full now. And she's like, Alex, we haven't had mass for 2 weeks. And he goes, and here we're treating people. She's like, we are a hospital. How can we not have masks?
That's going to change a little bit.
I'm thinking that's exactly what it is. Like, why wasn't anybody thinking about all this to begin with? Why do you wait till something this drastic happens?
Where's our disaster thinkers? I know, but Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor, he just posted a video today where he has donated $1 million worth of masks to LA County. So he's got a bunch of masks that he's divvying out today. So a lot of these hospitals that were out of masks are getting them today. I don't know how many masks buy, how many you can get for $1 million, but he bought $1 million worth of masks. And they just arrived last night.
Wow.
So some of these people are going to get just some of the masks. But yes, I know. And I agree with the ventilator things. But I heard one doctor say if we can't get ventilators, then we need all the unused CPAP machines that people have that they're not using, because a CPAP machine can pump air and you can use that as a ventilator.
Right.
So unused CPAP machines. So those are very important
but
too.
I think that's the thing, though, that they were not prepared, and so I'm hoping that this now changes, in the future, where there is going to be an abundant amount of supplies and an abundant amount of care. Because what gets me is the hospitals, for instance, just for a Tylenol pill will charge you $250, where you can go to the store and buy a jar for $7, right?
Yeah.
So I think that because the hospital has taken so much, has abused, the money so much, right, that they were almost like, we don't care about you. You know what I mean? You're already overcharging anyways. And I think if they start seeing it as this is something that, the people need, and it should be straight across the board. You are not allowed to charge $250 for one pill. There's got to be like a standard. Okay, this is how much it's going to cost you. If it only costs you a few pennies for a pill, you're not allowed to charge that much. You know what I mean? There's got to be somebody who takes control of that situation.
I do know that happens, but I think that if they weren't neglected in the first place, they wouldn't have to charge that so outrageous. I mean, if they were supported financially in the first place, if they were funded, if our healthcare was well funded, they wouldn't have to charge $20 for a pill, or $30 for a tissue, or
yeah, it's ridiculous.
$100
but I think that's
for
what I'm
a
saying.
thank
I'm thinking that's the government. That's what they need to do, is to put funding and into our medical, because at the end of the day, without health, we have nothing. We have nothing. Nothing in the world matters. If you're not healthy and you're in pain and you're in agony and you're dying, nothing material around you matters.
Well, that's even as a nation. I mean, you say, oh, well, what's so great about your nation? We need to be able to say that our nation is great,
healthcare.
with something other than Hollywood. Hollywood cannot be our thing that makes us great, right? Oh, your country makes good movies. Yeah, but that doesn't make you great.
Right. Healthcare should be
how a
priority.
nation can take care of its people and how the people take care of its nation. That's what makes it great, and that's what we've gotten away from that as well. Greatness is left. The building a long time ago, and it needs to come back. And now here's this great challenge where everybody is invited to perform to their top best, and that is a mess. I mean, I don't even want to start talking about that, because you turn on the TV and go, oh, well, this is just a huge failure. I'm not proud of this at all.
Well, this is why people have been calling for universal health care.
Yeah, well, and I didn't want to turn this into a political thing, or
there are certain places in Europe who have succeeded in providing their citizens with basic health care for free.
Well, of a fashion, but at least it's palatable. But at least it's something
tangible.
So here's our invitation to do the same thing. So I hope that all pans out too. I'd like to see positive changes in lots of places. But in the meantime, I'd like to see everybody, recommitting back to themselves again, and begin, finding ways to take action on their inactionable energies, and they would start feeling a whole lot better off. And what was the other thing you mentioned? Oh, that there's a sidewalk. There's a sidewalk, but the sidewalk is made out of the same earth that the earth is made out of. So even that sidewalk can be grounding. The building you're in, just because you're in a building, it's all the building materials are made from earth. I mean, your home is pretty earthy place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was thinking, you know, I sit here, you know, I've done a lot of grounding just in this chair here by my computer. And man, you know, you're pretty grounded here, even though I'm a couple of feet off. You're so far from your screen, Sarah, I almost can't hear you.
I said you practice grounding, so you're able to ground wherever you are.
Yeah, I'm happy for the ground underneath the pavement. Yeah, I'm happy for the ground just underneath where I am.
They need the tangible ground. They need the tangible grass. They need the tangible tree.
Yeah, sure. Well, maybe they'll have to tangibly ground when they're in the shower, because that's pretty darn grounding too. So, you know, hey, if you can't get to a tree, then at least get in the shower. So at least we have running water. I don't see that going away. Everything else is all right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So you asked me my opinion on an hour's worth of stuff, and I killed like 20 minutes right there.
Well,
but we covered a lot of ground. Do you see? It's important. It's
Yeah.
important to, you know, say this is all great, but what's the answer? Well, the answer is we need to work on a little bit of a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of jack of all trades, master of none, but at least we feel better about accomplishing something, even if it was an inside job, right? So we can start feeling better about ourselves even through the situation, right? So yeah. So,
Well,
yeah.
guys, I need to head out because I'm getting my calls from work and I got an appointment to go to. So it was nice chatting with you and seeing you again, Sarah. Love you.
All right,
Hello,
we'll see you
sister
later.
love. Bye,
All
guys.
right, Alex, I'll see you later.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
You want me to stop the recording? It's been about 90 minutes, and that'd be pretty long. You want to pause here, and then let's just have like a free chat for everything? So, okay.
Exactly.
So, okay, everybody on the recording, we'll see you later. And we may or may not up this, or this might get edited, or who knows what all may happen. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it should go up.
It should go up.
All right. Well, anyway. All right. So bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.